Yo, what up? It's your boy Shawn from the Better Days Rain podcast. Today we're going to shoot today's episode from the comforts of my home. You know, man, and today I just want to talk about, a lot of times, man, when we come in, we are at our lowest point in life. And when I came into recovery, well, when I came into recovery and took it serious, like actual serious, my health was giving out. I was pretty much on my last leg, and I was getting into a lot of trouble. And I remember sitting in a jail cell, and I asked, I got down on my face, and I was like, God, how do I save myself? How do I save myself? And ironically, like, and I wasn't asking in a sense of like, how do I get out of jail, but like literally, how do I save my soul? And he came back at me. He said, bro, I'm gonna need you to kill yourself. I'm gonna need you to kill yourself and destroy that person you claim to be or who you were, right? And then I need you to go out and start saving some other people. He gave me some very specific instructions, man, and I will never forget it. It was probably the most powerful moment of my life. He told me to build my house the way I wanted to build it. He told me to be proactive in everything I do and be the difference in everything I do. And it took me a little bit to figure that out, right? But when I got out of jail, and I really didn't think I was getting out of jail, mind you, I was looking at a lot of time. But when he got me out of jail, the very first thing I did was I went and got baptized through the church. And for those of y'all who don't understand what a baptism is, that's where you die to the old you and you are reborn, in Jesus Christ, through Jesus Christ. And you dedicate your life to Jesus Christ. That's what I did. I dedicated my life to Jesus Christ. And I gave up all my old ideals, all those horrible morals and just flawed way of living and thinking that I went through, right? And so, but when I did that, I kind of stepped into this realm of not knowing anything, right? All I knew was build my house, be the difference, and be proactive at doing it. And what those three things speak to, it's called intentional living, right? Living life with intent, right? Instead of just living the day to day to day to day to day, nothing changes. If nothing changes, right? It's embracing that change. It's embodying that change. That's what being the difference is. It's not just making a difference in the world, but it's actually living that way through your day to day life, right? So that was one of the first things I had to figure out was what was God trying to tell me, right? He was trying to tell me live with intent, right? Moving on past that, you know what I'm saying? The next thing I did, and it was very weird because, like, in treatment, usually the first thing they want you to do is go get a job. And I knew that if I just took a random job, I wasn't going to stay sober. I needed a mission in life. And today I'm a firm believer that every man needs a solid mission, something to dive into, be a part of, something greater than himself, to be a part of that will push him to succeed. So instead of going out and getting a job, I went to college. I decided, you know what, I got to go to school. I got to get educated in something because I don't want to be average. I want to be great, and I'm a firm believer that God put us all here to do great things and be great in the things that we do. And doing things differently all the time, what it had taught me was to simply, I got good at starting over. I got good at starting things, but as soon as somebody would tell me, Shawn, you need to do something different. Shawn, you need to go, this isn't working, do something different. Nobody told me to do more, right? They just told me to do things different. And so what happened was I got in the habit of starting over all the time. It was just repetitive, starting over, starting over, starting over. And what I came to realize is I was a professional at starting things over, but I was an amateur at following through. So college was the first step for me, right? It was the first step to following through to my mission. Today, my mission is to save people. You know what I'm saying? Like I try to get out there, and I'm not saying save people in a biblical sense. I feel like God asked me to help people get sober. I was in addiction for 25 years, solid, faithful to that addiction, and that came first before everything else. And, so today a life of service is what I put first prior to anything else. And it's been very rewarding in lots of ways for me. I feel at peace today. I am no longer angry. I no longer want to put trash and filth into the world. I want to be a blessing to my community, and I want to help others. Get sober, stay sober. I'm a firm believer that, like, man, I'm not really huge on Bible scripture and things like that, but if I can get people sober long enough to where God can work in their life, because a lot of us can't hear God in those addictions, right? And even in early recovery, it's very hard to understand the spiritual concept of it, right? So I try to help people get to that spiritual side so that God can start working in your life. In addiction, we can't hear God. I want to get people to where they can hear God and understand what he's trying to tell them, and get you to move a little different, get you to, realize that, by surrendering to God, and that's why God said, you got to kill yourself, because I couldn't surrender. I was constantly fighting. I was constantly fighting him. I was constantly fighting everybody in the world. Like, I had a rebellious spirit, and I had to get rid of that rebellious spirit. I had to quit trying to prove everything wrong. I had to quit trying to do things my way all the time. And I just had to put some faith in God that he knows what's best for me. And as long as I'm doing that next right thing and pushing myself to succeed at what I'm trying to do, he's going to handle the rest. And I'm a firm believer in that. Today, I went to college. I got certified in many different areas of peer support. I got the podcast, which is going great. Thank you for all the support that everybody gives to the podcast. But then the podcast has opened up so many doors. Motivational speaking, public speaking. We get to be a part of community events and job offers. I mean, it has opened up the doors to so many things. And I'm so grateful for the people who follow the Better Days Reign podcast. And I'm grateful for the comments that we get and the lives that we're impacting. It's been a blessing on me and my wife in tremendous ways. But going back to what we were talking about, you have to be willing to put the old you to rest. Like, just die to yourself. Die to yourself so that way you can move forward. It's because it's that old self is what's blocking us from the rewards of what God's trying to do. It's that we are in this constant state of mind where we are steadily living in our past or living in our misery, our guilt, our shame, and it's blocking you from being the best you can be. When you can put that stuff to rest, when you can get away from it and put it down, life has a flow to it. When you live in the present and the future and just stop living in the past, there's nothing we can do about it. It's done. Pray, God's already forgiven you. You just got to come to that realization. A lot of us feel like we don't deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. And God will give it to you, but you have to put it to rest. You have to close that door so that way God can open up the door for the new you to step into. And you just have to have faith he'll do that, right? When a lot of us say we have faith in God, but we have this horrible lack of faith in ourselves. God put us all here to do great things, not average things. He put us here to do great things, right? And if you can roll with that mentality that God put me here to be great, right? And your faith is solid, then carry that faith that you have in God to yourself. And then you will find that your life has a flow to it. It's a flow that leads to success. It's a flow that leads to growth, right? Because you'll never doubt yourself. If God came across the table and told you, do these things, this will be the outcome, you would never question the journey. You would just do it, right? That's where faith comes in. You have to have faith that if I do these things, this is the outcome that I'm going to get at the end of the day. This is the end game. This is the result. And that's what we all want to get to, but we don't want to go through that struggle because we don't understand faith. Everybody thinks you can just pray and God just makes things happen. No, faith works. They go together. You have to have your faith match your work ethic. When your faith matches your work ethic, that's when you get the reward. And the 12-step program, it talks about the promises. The promises are in the 12th step. That is the reward. That's the last step, right? But you have to go through the journey to get to that last step. You know what I'm saying? The reward always comes at the end. You always have to put the work in before you get to the reward. But it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it, and it's life-changing, right? You can't ever just stop halfway, because every time we stop halfway, then we have to start all the way over. And sometimes we have to start way back. You know what I'm saying? Learn to be a finisher. When you can learn to finish what you start, man, your confidence goes through the roof. All that self-doubt goes through the roof. Things that when we came into recovery are what we call soft boundaries, right? We have soft boundaries because we have low self-worth when we come into recovery, or even in addiction, right? We have those boundaries that are implemented some days and just completely left out other days, right? Today, my boundaries are non-negotiable. My boundaries, I don't negotiate with them. I no longer negotiate with things that are absolutely trying to destroy my life. And that's people, places, and things, right? Bad spirits, all of it. I try to keep all that away from me. I don't go to certain neighborhoods. I don't go to certain parts of town. I don't do things I used to do, because once I make an excuse to do it one time, I'll make an excuse to do it again. And those things are not okay. So today, I no longer negotiate with things that are trying to destroy me. I no longer negotiate with things that are trying to destroy my family. And lo and behold, life got lots better, right? But when you make your boundaries non-negotiable, your self-worth goes up. Your self-worth goes up, your confidence goes up. And as you progress through the programs, no matter what program it is, AA, CR, treatment, the gym, however you find it, right? Whatever program you work, when you finish it, self-confidence goes through the roof. Then you can be of service to other people. Service for me was probably the greatest part of recovery. Why? Because it gave me something bigger than myself to be a part of. I was super selfish in my addiction. I hated everybody. I hated everything. I was an absolute chaotic nightmare. And today I get to be a blessing on my community. I have changed my image. I have changed who I am. Like, I am a completely different person because I took recovery very seriously. Very seriously. And service was the very first thing I grasped onto, because it gave me something to contribute to, right? It made me feel a part of something where I didn't feel like I could ever be successful or ever have a successful life. Today, I'm like, bro, I'm all about service, right? Even when you're in school, right? You don't get paid to go to school. You go to school. You have to learn your skill before you can get paid for it. So that's kind of how recovery works in the same sense. You have to learn before you can go out and start making all the money and doing all the things. You have to become a part of something greater than yourself. And I made this a quick episode, y'all. Forgive me, gotta go get tires changed on the car. But y'all have a great day, man. And I just want to shoot that, just a few little things of advice. Man, live with intent. Set a goal and chase it down. And then when you chase that goal down, right before, and I'm not going to say when you accomplish it, I'm going to say when you see the end come up, put another goal behind it. So that way you're not taking any breaks. Always keep your goals overlapping. Overlap your goals. When you overlap your goals, you stay in constant motion, right? And you'll find yourself to be very satisfied with your results if you overlap your goals. And just, be the difference in everything you do. What does be the difference mean? It means embody that change. It means be the change that you want to see. Walk in it. Talk in it. I went to college, man, and I could tell you, it took me 4 years to get a 2-year degree. 4 years to get a 2-year degree. And I can honestly tell you, I don't feel any smarter, any dumber, but I would recommend that everyone go to college. Just for the simple purpose, it will put you in a position to elevate yourself. You will put yourself in a community of people who are trying to elevate themselves, right? It's a healthier environment. There's a language we need to learn to be successful. You know, it's okay to talk hood with your friends in the street. It's okay to be you authentically, but there's also going to be times where they got to see a professional side of you. And that's what you have to learn. A lot of us have to learn. We have to learn that professional side. We have to do all the things we don't want to do so that way we can succeed. Right? And it's never easy. Like, it's always easy to do the wrong thing, but it's real hard to do the right thing. But when you're constantly doing the right thing, when you're constantly growing as a person, raising the bar, holding yourself to a higher standard than you normally would, right? Then you build on that. And think about the life you want at the end of the day, right? If I want to be a millionaire, then my work ethic has to match my standards. And my standards have to match what my end goals would be. A lot of people want all these riches in the world, but they wouldn't know how to handle it. You know, you have to, God's going to give you something, but you got to learn how to handle it. And then you keep raising the bar. You just simply keep raising the bar and don't stop raising the bar. You know, and don't look back on your past. Your past is done. It's over. You can't do nothing with it. Right? What you can do is you can dedicate yourself. You can commit yourself to change. You can commit yourself to something greater than yourself. Right? You can commit yourself to God. You can commit yourself to Jesus Christ. And you can start living right. You can make those choices and life gets better. Y'all have a great weekend, man. It's your boy Shawn. Have one.